Welcome back, everyone, to ZumaFan. So, Christmas is upon us, and I thought it would be great to gift you guys a review of Pup Save a Bah Humdinger. So, let's dive in. So, the episode starts off in the North Pole, where we see Santa Claus and his elves preparing to deliver presents to all the good boys and girls out there in the world. But they got this new elf, Percy, who is the new map maker for Santa Claus. He's about to go to Adventure Bay to make sure that everyone is accounted for Santa Claus. As to why he decides to do this on Christmas Eve, I have absolutely no idea, and it's beyond me. Santa Claus decides to gift him with a cinnamon bun, because I guess he might get hungry on the way or whatever. It's good that Santa Claus looks out for his fellow elves. Now, of course, for some reason, Percy makes a comment about how he doesn't like the idea of sticky fingers with maps, and yet he handles the cinnamon bun and just puts it in his back pocket without, packaging it up or anything like that. So, I mean, you didn't precisely stop yourself from getting sticky fingers, now did you, Percy? So after that, Percy gets into his hover sled and flies off to Adventure Bay. Flash to Adventure Bay, it is night, and all the Paw Patrol and townsfolk are decorating a giant tree in the middle of Town Hall. And on the side, Rocky, Zuma, and Tracker are building a snowman that looks like Santa Claus. But I do have to get on this one thing. Tracker hears sleigh bells, and he forgets that he actually attached the sleigh bells to his collar. And Zuma points it out, and when Tracker sees it, he chuckles a little bit. Now, I know many people really love Tracker, but it's moments like these that really make me mad personally. And the reason for that is I feel like they're trying too hard to make him really cute. And I really don't like it when characters are just so overly cute, because it comes off as more irritating and annoying than anything. And I really feel like Tracker in this episode just frustrates me the way that they do him. So after that, they have a song. Some of the townsfolk, like Captain Turbot, Farmer Yumi, and Al, they start singing a song, and that's basically all that's going on here. And by the end of the song, we get introduced to the villain of the episode, and it's Mayor Humdinger. Now, I have no idea why he is actually here at this moment, but apparently he might actually just be here to tell everybody what he wants, which is this kitty stuffy thing or whatever. Some of the kitties get upset, and they apparently want some stuff from Santa Claus as well. But Humdinger says that he will then put what they want in a list for Santa Claus next year, because he is selfish and he wants everything for himself. And Alex is there, and Alex thinks that Mayor Humdinger is being naughty, and so is his snow globe. Oh yeah, that non-sentient snow globe. I'm going to care about his opinion. So after that, we see Percy, and Percy is now in Adventure Bay. But of course, due to Percy's incompetence, the map flies in his face, and he smacks into the lemonade stand. And lucky for Humdinger, he just happens to be on his kitty carrier driving down that same road that Percy happened to crash at. And the two meet. And Humdinger is surprised and asks if he is a real elf. And Percy says that due to Rule 42B of the Elf Handbook, he is not allowed to disclose if he is an actual elf or not. Now, of course, this does seem kind of strange, and it gets even stranger in a few seconds, but I have no idea as to why this rule even exists, and I'll tell you why. So, according to Percy, no one can know that he is a real elf because it's going to ruin the magic of Christmas. So I'm guessing that Rule 42B of the Elf Handbook explains that if people find out that you are an actual elf and you work for Santa Claus, that will ruin the magic of Christmas. Which doesn't make any sense, because in this universe, the Paw Patrol know Santa Claus actually exists. And if anyone knows anything about Santa Claus, they know that he has elves that help him. So, why would knowing that an elf that works with Santa Claus is an actual elf, why would knowing that ruin the magic of Christmas? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I don't know why he even said that, or why that's even a rule in the first place. Humdinger then gets a glimpse at the map, and he notices that Foggy Bottom has a frowny face, and he asks why, and Percy replies, apparently no one is good there, so he's not going to get his stuffy kitty that he wants so badly. So he decides he has to come up with a plan to steal it, and this is probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. So he yells elf to get everyone's attention, and the Paw Patrol hear this and they run over to see Percy. And when the atoms of Tracker then touch the atoms of Percy the elf, that tiny bit of neutrons touching together causes Percy to fly back onto his back, and he drops the map and this little golden thing. And this golden thing turns out to be an elf tag, which allows him to contact and talk to Santa Claus. Now here's the big reason why this whole thing is completely stupid, and why this plan should not have actually worked, or even succeeded one bit. So the Paw Patrol are standing in a huge line looking at Percy, right? And when Percy drops the map and his elf tag on the ground, right? Now, it's not too far away from it. It's like maybe a foot at the most. Humdinger then picks up both of those things and just walks away with it. And the Paw Patrol don't see in this or hear any of this. Humdinger literally makes a comment about how he's stealing the elf tag. He literally bends over and says that he is taking it, literally right in front of everybody to see him. But because nobody is focused, no one's in shot, so that means that they're not there. So after that, Percy tries to find the map, but he can't. So the Paw Patrol try to help find the map with him. And apparently, even though Humdinger literally stole the map right in front of their faces, they still have a hard time figuring out where it went. So Ryder calls the Paw Patrol to the lookout due to Percy's map and elf tag disappearing. And Marshall, he slips on ice and he slides in and knocks into everybody. And Marshall says, "Pup miss on Christmas." And, well, it's not like bad enough to be like suicidal or anything, but I mean, still not good. So when they get up there and Ryder tells them of the situation, for some reason all of them get really shocked at something they were literally standing right there aware of. So I really hate it when they do this in episodes, where if all the Paw Patrol members are aware of a situation or literally on the spot when the situation takes place, and they get called to the lookout, and when Ryder explains to them what the situation is that they are aware of, they then react like as if they'd never heard it before. So it's so confusing to me, and I have no idea why they keep doing that. So for the mission, Chase and Rocky are called in. Rocky to help fix the hover sled, and Chase to locate the map. And so they get into their vehicles and drive off. So after that, Chase, Ryder, and Rocky make it to the scene where all this took place. And Chase discovers where the other piece of the map is, because remember how Santa Claus gifted Percy with a cinnamon bun? Well, like I mentioned, he just handles the cinnamon bun with his bare hands. And because of that, he touched the map with it. So because of that, they were able to find it in a tree and use the drone to take it down. After that, for some reason, Humdinger then drives up to the lookout, and I don't know why he even does this, but he just does. And parked outside of the lookout is the air patroller, of which he needs to steal so that he can get to the North Pole before Santa Claus leaves. So Humdinger walks directly into the air patroller, of which Robodog is still in there, and he just takes over the plane like it's nothing. And it's like, is Robodog gonna do anything? Like, he should know that they're coming into the air patroller, and maybe he should lock it, or he should do something to try to stop Humdinger from stealing, contact Ryder. But instead, nope, he doesn't do that. So after Humdinger has essentially hijacked the air patroller and flies away with it, that's when Robodog decides to jump out, abandon ship, and then fly down to the lemonade stand where all the Paw Patrol are looking for the map, and then he flies down and gets a hologram of Mayor Humdinger telling Robodog what he is going to do. So instead of calling the Paw Patrol as he's taking over the Air Patroller, he literally waits until after the Air Patroller is flying to the North Pole to let the Paw Patrol know who stole the map and who stole the Air Patroller. So the Paw Patrol get into the Paw Patroller and they drive off, trying to chase after Humdinger before he can get to the North Pole. Ryder has the bright idea to try to reason with Humdinger by calling him. Now, this part also baffles me, as when they call Mayor Humdinger, Humdinger walks off screen, and when he walks back on to screen, he for some reason is dressed like an elf. Like, how did he always have the elf suit with him? It's so confusing, honestly. So after Percy gives exposition about what the elf tag actually does to Mayor Humdinger, Humdinger hangs up and calls Santa Claus, telling him that the map is actually ready, and that he'll be there in a few minutes to give it to him. And not only that, but he also tells him that he's Hummy, and he's the new elf friend of Percy, and he's delivering the map because Percy had a little accident and he couldn't make it. So during this time, the Paw Patroller has to make it to the North Pole, otherwise no one in Adventure Bay will get any presents. So, even though Ryder is aware of the fact that the roads are covered with snow and are slippery, he then tells Robodog to floor it. And in doing so, about 5 seconds later, they get in an accident. So, there we go, that's Ryder being more irresponsible as usual. So because of this, he needs Everest to clear the road so that they can get there. But it's too late, and Humdinger ends up giving the map to Santa Claus. Now, of course, it's very surprising, because when he actually gets there, Santa Claus doesn't question a single thing. Like, if you're an elf, why are you the size of me? And not only that, but Percy, when last time Santa Claus saw him, he had basically a full map, and when Hummy comes over and gives him the new map that Humdinger made, Santa Claus takes it, and he doesn't question the fact that the map has a giant rip, and the fact that the piece that was ripped off is missing, and the only thing that's left is Foggy Bottom. So it already makes no sense. So when it looks like Humdinger succeeded, because he kind of did, Humdinger then gets into the Air Patroller and tries to travel back to Foggy Bottom and wait for Santa Claus to deliver all the presents to him. Which, that doesn't make any sense, because the presents have names on them for specific people. And just because Foggy Bottom has a bunch of smiley faces and Adventure Bay is literally gone from the map, does not mean that Adventure Bay is not going to get any presents whatsoever. Santa Claus want to be, like, I know Santa Claus is stupid in this episode, alright? I know he is stupid, but he can't be as stupid as to be like, well, since there's a bunch of smiley faces on Foggy Bottom, the best thing I could do is give you presents that belong to different people to you specifically, because the rest of the map just isn't there. I seem to have forgotten about Adventure Bay, the place that I crashed and the place that helped me save Christmas for the entire world, not only for Adventure Bay like in this episode, but for the entire world in the very first episode that we see him in. So I understand Santa Claus is completely stupid in this episode, but come on. But of course, Humdinger mentions how it's only going to be for him, and the kittens get upset and they decide not to fly the Air Patroller. So Humdinger decides that it would be the best idea if he does it. So the moment he sits down on the thing and touches the yoke, the whole thing goes array. It's just a huge mess, and he ends up crashing the Air Patroller, of which he then just screams into the night asking for help. Luckily for him, though, that he didn't die, but luckily for him that where he crashed was very close to where the Paw Patroller was. So Tractor was able to hear him, and the Paw Patrol were able to find him and save him, of which for this he then apologizes and says that it was pretty naughty of him to steal the map, rip the map and give only one piece of it that only benefits him to Santa Claus and nobody else. But of course, this is when Tracker then comes out with this great stuff here. He says that Christmas is not about the presents. It's about family. It's about love, you know? And when doing that, when he says that, the hover sled, as I said before, you know, would suddenly start for no reason whatsoever, then starts and flies over to Percy and the Paw Patrol. And apparently, Percy forgot, but apparently what the hover sled runs on is Christmas spirit. Like, I don't even know what that is. What's Christmas spirit? Is it like you're happy because it's Christmas? I mean, everyone else was happy because it was Christmas. Does it mean you like a belief? Is it like you gotta believe in Christmas or something? What does that mean? But luckily for the Paw Patrol and everyone in Adventure Bay, Percy and the Paw Patrol get to Santa Claus right before he flies off, and they give him the other piece of the map. And Santa Claus is like, oh yeah, look at that. I got the map and I can see Adventure Bay. Don't want to forget those folks. It's like, you didn't even have the map in the very first episode, so, I mean, you got all this way without it. But, you know, it's just in line with how stupid Santa Claus is in this episode. So after this, we flash back to Adventure Bay, where we see the Paw Patrol just doing normal things, you know, getting ready to celebrate Christmas Day. And Santa Claus is also there. He apparently delivered gifts underneath the giant tree in the middle of Town Hall. And Santa Claus and Humdinger are standing around just doing nothing. And then a kid is walking over and drops their toy. And the toy breaks. And Santa Claus had just gifted Humdinger with a kitty toy. You know, the same kitty stuffy that he was talking about in the beginning of the episode. And Humdinger, even though he has this dark heart, he gives the kid his kitty stuffy. And Santa Claus finds that so special that he gives Humdinger with the exact same kitty toy again. So that's great. I'm glad that he is rewarded for good deeds, and he will never actually learn, and this is the only good deed he will ever actually do. So I'm just surprised that Humdinger never learns that being a good person actually rewards you kindly in the world. So the Humdinger is just a complete and utter idiot. But of course, just before the episode closes off, I'd just like to bring back to the rule 42B Elf Handbook, right? And it would ruin the magic of Christmas to know that, I guess, elves are real, or that elves work with Santa Claus or whatever. So doesn't that rule also apply to Santa Claus himself, since he usually comes down the chimney and delivers presents when no kid is awake, you know, so no one sees him? And it's mainly about, you know, belief in something, you know. But Santa Claus is right there, right in front of everybody, you know, at Town Hall. He's just standing there. And as I said, he gives Humdinger with the kitty toy after Humdinger gives his toy over to the kid whose toy was broken. So I don't understand why would seeing an elf break the magic of Christmas but not seeing Santa Claus? It doesn't make any sense, and I would like to read that rule 42B of the handbook if I can get my hands on it, so I know what the rules are, because I generally have absolutely no idea what it means or why he even said that. Doesn't even make any sense. So the episode comes to a close as everyone gathers around the tree to sing a Christmas song, and with that, the episode ends. Man, what a nightmare this episode was. A nightmare before Christmas, you might even say. Nothing in this episode made any sense whatsoever. All the characters are pretty much stupid for absolutely no reason. And if you would like to hear the biggest issue with this episode, okay, the biggest one is the fact that nobody in the Paw Patrol, nobody, okay, and this is mainly on Ryder, but nobody decides to call Santa Claus. Now, for those that don't know, Santa Claus, in the Season 1 episode, Pups Save Christmas, right? Santa Claus, he crashes in Adventure Bay during a huge snowstorm. And he calls the Paw Patrol on his phone, right? So why don't the Paw Patrol, who are aware of this very thing, why don't they contact Santa Claus and tell him that Humdinger, the mayor of Foggy Bottom, has hijacked the air patroller, has stolen the map, updated it for his benefit, and is about to give you the wrong thing? I don't understand why they don't just do that. Oh yeah, that's right, because plot in the episode would be over if they did that. So, yeah, it's just really stupid all around. Santa Claus is stupid, as I mentioned before. The plan that Humdinger comes up with isn't even a plan at all. Percy is irritating, and I don't understand why this episode decides to have Tracker as the main character, or why they seem to act like as if Tracker has always been obsessed with Santa Claus, and he doesn't even get the autograph that he wanted so badly that he mentioned in the very beginning of the episode. So I don't understand why they chose Tracker for this, but I guess you had to choose somebody, but I don't understand why he had to be Tracker of all characters. So yeah, this episode was absolutely ridiculous. But of course, I do have to give positives, otherwise all of you are gonna find me just hating, and that's all I ever do. And I'm trying to be light here because it is Christmas, okay? So the music in this episode was actually really good, very Christmassy, and I actually really did end up enjoying a lot of it. The jingle bells and all that, it was all done perfectly as far as I'm concerned. The music is the best part of this episode. And I would say the North Pole in the very beginning of the episode looked really cool. And I really do love the candy cane design, the green, the red, and white. It all looked really nice, even though the North Pole would probably be more like the Arctic, and not so much just Adventure Bay with pine trees everywhere. But either way, I can't really complain because of how good it actually looks. And I really do like the update design for Santa Claus, where they kind of just have like these gold designs going throughout the suit, and a few updated of these white fur parts on the suit as well. And it's not so much as like the original design of Santa Claus that they used for the first episode. They changed it up and they made it unique for this episode, so I do give them credit for that. And yeah, that's basically it. This episode was trash, everybody, and I hated it, and it didn't bring me any Christmas joy whatsoever. But you know what does bring me joy? You guys. And hopefully with this, I make your Christmas just a little bit better. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Please leave a comment down below telling me what you think of it, and I will see you guys later.